I have a ton of different ways that I press my flowers, and I've sort of learned through trial and error over several years, and I'm pretty happy with how it is now. I have two different presses. This one is pretty large, and then this one is smaller, and they essentially just work by having some sort of cardboardy layers that will absorb water, and then you press them in between these different sheets. These ones look a little bit nasty, but they work perfectly fine. And then there's also these foam layers that can help preserve the shape of the flowers to some degree. And you can reuse these over and over and over again by just baking them in the oven. You only bake the parchment paper, like the lining paper, and then this cardboardy layer, and you would bake it for about 40 minutes in the oven at 250 degrees. And I like having this variety because obviously there's different shapes and sizes of flowers, which is really nice to have different trays for each type. You can also just use like paper towels. So what I'll do is I just save paper towels that I use for pressing, and I'll essentially set them up with the flowers, and I'll try to make sure that they're spaced evenly. And then for every layer of flowers, I will put like 2 or 3 paper towels, and then I'll just put some weight on top of it. So I like to use textbooks. For example, I'll put like a few flowers and then I'll just place it on top, and I like to use these little coasters, and then I'll just place weight on top and leave that for a few days. But I think the easiest and most effective way at preserving like color and making it so they don't get moldy is these kits, and they're pretty affordable, and you can hold quite a lot in them. So this is some that I did from a while ago, and they hold the color really nicely, and I love it because they're pretty much indefinitely usable because you can just bake them again. And I like to put it in this plastic bag so it seals in the moisture, and then I also put silica packets that I get. Like if you get food, sometimes they'll come with little silica packets like these, and that also just helps remove the moisture. You can also do it the old-fashioned way of just putting like some flowers in a napkin or tissue and then put it in a book. And then there's also silica gel, which is really cool because instead of pressing, it just preserves them in their shape. I think I got this on Amazon, but it's really cool. You have to be careful when you use it. You have to wear like a mask. But what I'll do is I'll get like Tupperware. And you can only use this Tupperware for flower pressing. Do not use it for food because that can be toxic. And again, just wear that mask so you don't breathe in the fine particles. And you pour a fine layer of the silica gel and then place the flowers in face up, and then just pour more gel on top of it. And you can put it in for like a few days to a few weeks. And it's really cool, and it just preserves the shape of the flowers as opposed to pressing them. And the silica gel can also be baked, so you can reuse it. Yeah, and just wear a mask, and then once you take it out, you can just shake it, and I will put it in a Tupperware and sort of gently move it around to get all of the silica out of the powder. But for baking, it says bake for a half an hour to 2 hours at 200 to 250 in the oven. And again, this is like, you can use this a ton and have a pretty much indefinite amount of uses from it, which is really nice. And I think this was like $20. And I think that large flower press was around 40, and this one was probably like 20-ish. But some of my friends borrowed it for when they did their weddings. They preserved their bouquets and their like the little pins and stuff that people had. And it's just a really fun way to save special memories with people. So thank you for your comment, and let me know if you have any questions. I've done this for a little bit, so I probably have some more tips if you need any. It's best to get the flowers preserved while they still have color and they're not like limp. But I've found that even if they do get a little bit limp, you can sort of unroll them slowly, and I'll use my fingers or tweezers. so I can just flatten them out to press them. And not all flowers are the best for pressing. So flowers that hold a lot more water, you have to make sure to either remove some of the petals so they're not as thick, and either press the petals individually, or if you like have a rose, just make it so it's a much smaller amount of petal to flower ratio so it doesn't get too wet and get moldy. And you can just Google the types of flowers and which are not great to be pressed, just the ones with the most water weight. And for those, even if it says they're not the best to be pressed, sometimes I will also just do that in the silica gel and just put like a larger amount of silica gel in on top of the flowers. And that can help make it so it can suck away the moisture and it won't get moldy and gross like some flowers would if you didn't do that, or if you just tried pressing them as they were like all in one flower.